In this video, I'm going to show you how you can set up your site. What we're going to be doing is setting up a blog. So you have some choices here. If you have absolutely no money, then you can start by using Blogger. Now, this is a way to get started, but I don't really suggest it because you aren't really in full control of your content. Google can remove your blog at any time. So what I suggest is you use a self-hosted WordPress blog. In other words, you are going to be hosting it on your own server. Now, it doesn't cost very much to get hosting. You can get hosting from about $5 per month and a domain name for about $13 or $14 per year. So it's a really low startup cost. If you can find $20 to get started, this is the best way to do it, and this is how I'm going to suggest that you do it and how I'm going to show you how to do it in this series. So the first thing we're going to be doing is installing a WordPress blog. So that's what we're going to go over in this video. If you already know how to install WordPress, you can skip to the next video where we'll start the setup. But this video is strictly on installation. Okay, so you're going to need to have your own hosting account and domain name, as I said, a web space to upload this to. Now, what you want to do is have a fairly generic domain name or something to do with news, all the news of the day or something like that. Todaysnews.com, the most interesting news.com, today'sinterestingnews.com, whatever you can find or whatever you want to use. It's a good idea to use something that's fairly generic because there's going to be all kinds of things that we're going to be putting in here. It's not going to be one subject, it's going to be all over the board. Okay, so what we want to do, go to wordpress.org, and then what you want to do is download the newest version. So just click here, and then we're going to download the zip. And download. Okay, so that's downloaded. So I can go and look at this in my download folder just by clicking on this here. Okay, and then what we want to do is unzip this. This is where all our WordPress files are contained. So if you right click on this, you can just do an extract all through Windows. I also have something on here called 7-zip, which I like to use. And if you want to use that, you can install it for free. Just search for it. I use it because it's the fastest unzip tool. Okay, so we'll let that unzip. Now, like I said before, you're going to need server space. So you can get shared hosting fairly cheap. And what we're going to be doing is uploading this to our server. And to do that, you need an FTP client. And there's one called FileZilla that's for free. So let me open FileZilla here. And this is what it looks like. So on your left-hand side, you have your computer. And on the right-hand side will be where your server will be once you're connected up. So all you have to do to connect up in hostname here, put in your domain name, and then in username and password, you put in the username and password for signing into your server. Or if you set up an FTP account, you can use that. Okay, and then you just connect up. Now, let me just go back and look at our progress with 7-zip here. We should be unzipped. And it is. Okay, so you'll see right here is the unzipped folder. Firefox has downloaded an update here. Just ignore that for now. And then in here you have WordPress, and then within there you have the WordPress script. So all we need to do is upload this to our server now. So I'm going to go connect to my server on FileZilla. Okay, so here I am with my server on this side. Now, if I upload right into the directory that is visible to the web, my site will display when I type in my domain name. I can also create a folder. So if I do right click here and I do create directory, and then I put my site within there, I would have to type in my domain name / and this folder name. Now I use this domain name for other things, so I'm just going to put it in a folder. I suggest though that you have a dedicated domain name, and you put it right in the visible area. That might be public_HTML or htdocs, or it may be in the / directory if it's an add-on domain, as I have here. Okay, so I'm going to call this trending news. Okay, and then what we're going to do is roll to the trending news directory and go into it. Okay, and then this is where I'm going to upload all of the files. So I'll go over here to WordPress, and then I want all these. So I click on one and then click Control A, and that does a select all. And then if I right click and upload. Now this will upload WordPress into its separate folders just like we see over here automatically. So we don't have to worry about that. We just need to let that finish. Now WordPress is database powered. So what we need to do is create a database for it. I'm going to show you using cPanel hosting. So let me go to my cPanel. Now in your cPanel hosting, you should see a section called databases. And then within here, you should see a database wizard. If you don't have a database wizard, then you need to go and set up an SQL database manually in here and then set up a user for it. I'm just going to use the database wizard though. So we go in here. And then we give it a database name. So I'm just going to call it news. Okay, and if it's available, then you'll get a check mark here. So go next step. And here's where we're going to want to create a username. So I'll call this news. You can call it something different if you want. Now, what we want here is a password. The best thing to do is to use the password generator. Now, copy this. And then open a Notepad session and put it in Notepad. Okay, so I'm just going to paste that in here. Move this out of the way. And then we're going to say I've copied it somewhere safe and use password. Okay, so now we have a nice secure password. Now we need to create the user. And then we want all privileges. Okay, and then next step. Okay, now what you want to do is just copy this line here. This has our database name and our username, which happen to be the same, but if they're different, then you need to copy the whole thing. I'm just going to copy it all anyway, and we're going to paste it in here. Okay, there. Now I have everything that I need to do the install. So let's go and have a look at the upload progress. So it's still uploading a bit here, so we'll just wait for that to finish. Okay, so that is now finished uploading. So now what we do is go to the browser and just type in the URL to the location of our site. Okay, so I'll put that in the browser bar. And then we just pick our language. Now we need to put in our database information. So we go, let's go. Now we're going to go back to this point. And we pick this is our database name, or this is our username, and the database name is this, which happen to be the same, so I just need to copy it once. So we'll copy that in there, and then we'll put the username in there. Password is here. Okay, now database host, you can find that on your control panel as well, so let's go back there. Okay, so you want to go back to the database section, and then you'll see PHP MyAdmin. Click on that, and you'll see up here on the left it says server, and in this case it says localhost. So whatever it says there is what you need. This happens to be right this time. Next is your table prefix. This can be anything. These are so that you can have multiple instances of WordPress in one database. This is how it differentiates them. I would suggest changing it from WP though. So I'm going to call it TN for trending news and submit. Okay, run the install. Next, we need to put our site title in here, and we can change this later. So for now, I'll just call it trending news. Okay, then we need a username. Say Newsy. And then here you want a secure password, so put something in there. Something fairly strong, not like what I'm doing here. And then an email address here. You should have one that's on the domain name if possible, but if not, you can use another domain. You can use an email address from Yahoo or something like that. And then whether you're going to allow the search engines. Okay, and then once you've done that, click Install WordPress. Okay, so there it is. Now we're going to log in. Click Remember Me here. And there we go. We now have WordPress installed. In the next video, we're going to go over site setup.